on this eve of elections in this country. Tomorrow, Uganda goes to the polls to choose their leaders at different levels. Tomorrow, we are going to the polls to choose a president, choose members of parliament, choose local government leaders, and all different kinds of leaders. And this evening, I just want to encourage us. We have been praying, we have been campaigning. Some of us have spent money, we have lobbied for support from different people, and some of us are very sure that come 14th, our candidates are going to win. And if we are the candidates ourselves, we are so expectant that tomorrow, by this time, you'll be announced winner. And so I know right now there's a lot of anxiety and fear and suspicion, especially among those who have been involved in the campaigns directly, those who want to be elected and those who have been at the front line of campaigning for different candidates. We wish you well, and we are praying for you. Each of us knows our leaders whom we're going to vote. Some of us are lying to others, and yet deep inside your heart, you're actually going to vote for a very different person. So I want us to talk about understanding the leadership mandate this evening. The Bible tells us in Romans chapter 13, verse 1, that all leaders come from God, meaning leadership is ordained by God. All leaders come from God. And when you refer to the book of Genesis, man was given the leadership mandate. Because of all things that God created, man was the apex of his creation, and man was created to be co-creators, and was given that command, be fruitful and multiply, subdue the earth. So man was given a leadership mandate. What does that simply mean? It means every person is a leader. All of us are leaders. Sometimes in school we used to ask the question, are leaders born or are they made? Some argue and say leaders are born. You're born a leader. Others say no, leaders are made. It's the environment and nature and nurture that produce a leader. Yeah, it depends on which school of thought you're coming from. Yeah, but for me, I believe leaders are both born and made. There are people who have natural charisma of leadership, but learning, environment, and nurture enhances their skills further, and they become better leaders. But I want to begin from there. All of us are leaders. When you wake up in the morning, you lead yourself. Actually, the first people we lead ourselves. You wake up from your bed, you tell yourself, go to the toilet, brush, bathe, do this, and then you order yourself. The whole day you're ordering yourself. You're leading yourself. So if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. So the primary responsibility of leadership is self-leadership. And from self, you go to those around you before you go to the community and lead others. I know we are looking at very many things in the people whom we are going to vote to be our leaders. Others are looking at those who gave a lot of money. Others are looking at those who are tall. You remember the story of Samuel, and when he visited Jesse's family, as Jesse's sons kept coming to him, he would look at them, and then he would say, oh, this one looks handsome. I think it's God's choice, and God would say, not that one. Then we look at another one and say, oh, this one is very tall. I think this is the one God has chosen. God will say, not that one. Until when all the big good boys were exhausted, and then he asks, isn't there anybody else? And the father is like, I think the youngest, but he's in the bush there taking care of sheep. And Samuel's like, we cannot proceed unless we receive him. And he was the youngest, the least expected to be a leader. But he's the one that God said, anoint him. And God gave a very strong statement to Samuel that day. He said, man looks at the outside, but God looks at the heart. As we have been campaigning, as we have been looking at our leaders, many of us have been looking at them from the outside. We have been looking at how they have talked. Some of them have had very smart manifestos, and they have convinced us a lot that they are going to deliver. But you see, a manifesto is one thing, talking is another, delivery is another, because it will depend on the environment, depend on the circumstances then. But it's only God who looks at the heart. And I know of all these people who are standing, God knows their hearts. We don't know them. Some of them are going to have spent their money for campaigns. Immediately we choose them, they want to recover their money. They will disappear. They will leave Kisoro and they come and live in Kampala for the next 5 years, and you never see your MP back there. So on the eve of these elections, yes, we have had our own impressions and our own judgments, but let's surrender these leaders to God. If God wishes the best for your community, He will give you the best leader. We have had cases where even leaders who have spent most money fail, and leaders who have spent no money pass. If leadership comes from God, then our prayer should be that God give us the right leaders for this season. I've always said before that God works in times and seasons. There is a season for everything. If you look at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, it says there is time for everything. Time to be born and time to die. Time to lead and time not to lead. And there are some people who have stuck on leadership. They feel it's a hereditary kind of thing. You want to pass it to your children, to your children's children. But the Bible says there's time for everything. There's time to come and there is time to go. So those of you who want to die there, maybe God is saying this is not your season now. So I want to challenge you. If tomorrow the results come and the results are saying you have lost, then just understand that the season has changed. There's something else God wants you to do. Don't go to court and go and struggle. It was my thing. You possess the position. You possess the job. I am meant to be the MP of this area. For the last 25 years, you're there and you still think you're not supposed to go. God works in times and seasons. If it's still your season, you will still be a leader. But if your season has gone, my friend, look at what God is saying and ask God, what is my next season? Don't become violent. Some of you are ready to kill because you want to maintain that position. I win or they lose. You give those kind of conditions to yourself. And some of you, because you've given a lot of money, you expect your money to deliver leadership to you. My dear, if it's God who authors leadership, if you're not meant to be the leader of those people in this season, your money will not deliver your leadership. So I want those of us who have been campaigning to be relaxed this evening. Allow God propel people He wants to lead this nation. Yes, you may have spent your money, but the favor comes from God. The Bible says, I think in Psalm 24, that some believe in chariots and others in horses, but we shall trust in the name of the Lord. So we want to pray that come tomorrow, we'll go to the polls excitedly, do our part, but leave the rest to God. Because you see, you can convince somebody to vote for you, but on that day, as he's standing in the line, something tells him no, but I think so and so can make a better leader. He can change his mind just in this, even at the on the table. So you'll never be sure, But I think leadership is all about, rallying people, because it's getting things is done through others. What have you done before? Those of you who aspire to be leaders, what makes you think you deserve to lead others? Whom have you rallied? What achievements have you brought in that community? If you've been in leadership before, your actions can speak for themselves. But as some of us, even for 5 years, there's nothing to be seen, but you still want to be there. There are people who have not even had the resources, but already they have impacted their society. Some people are going to miss to be leaders, not because they are not good leaders, but simply because we have monetized leadership. People think a leader is that one who gives much more money. And tomorrow you will see, you will sell your leaders and get the wrong leaders, simply because you have monetized leadership. But God will choose to give you. If you monetize leadership, God will give you a leader who will come and torment you so as to recover his money. By the time you regret, you would have learned the lesson. So what's leadership? It's about inspiring people for action. Leadership is about inspiration. Leadership is about conviction. Leadership is not position. Leadership is responsibility. There are many of you who are so excited what it means to be the member of parliament, and you're excited about the allowances, you're excited about the title honorable, you're excited about the 20 million salary per month. And so what is taking you into leadership is position. You're not looking at the responsibility, the mantle. What does this position come with? What does it mean to be a honorable? What do I owe my people? What is the circumstance and the situation in my constituency? What difference do I want to make? So that you become a burdened leader. A leader who is burdened because you're tired of the status quo. And so you're longing to do something. You're longing to change the situation around. But there are some people who are not even thinking about that. They're thinking about being called honorable, and then they're already looking at how their accounts will be swelling every month, and then they're already planning, they're already thinking of what car to buy, and another girlfriend to another woman to marry, and they are looking at, spending. They're looking at materialism. No wonder when they get to the floor of parliament, people are debating, they will be feeling bored because they don't have a vision. They don't have a vision for their people. So every leader must have a vision. Right now, even as you've been campaigning, what is the mental picture? A vision is a mental picture of what you want to see. What's your mental picture? What's in your mind that you want to do in that village, in that sub-county, in that constituency for the next 5 years? In this country as Uganda, where is the vision? Where is the burden? Are you burdened about the status quo, things which are not going well? And you're saying, I want God to trust me with an opportunity to do something that will change situations around. So it's not position. Leadership is responsibility. And with the responsibility comes accountability. Because when God trusts you with leadership for the next 5 years, God will hold you accountable. So every leader must be able to deliver. We are living in times when we want result-oriented leadership. We don't want leadership of poko talking. We don't eat talking. We want you to be a good debater in parliament, but we also want you to be delivering services in our village. We don't have a hospital. You must be able, we are not saying you should give it, but you must be a good lobbyist. You must be a strategist. You must be a reformer, a leader who is a reformer, a leader who knows how to position himself to attract resources for his people or for her people. So tomorrow, as we go to the polls, we have had our leaders talk. We have positioned ourselves to vote them. There is always one leader at a time. So some leaders, the votes will not be enough for them. So we will not say they have failed really, but they just didn't get enough votes because there is only one chair. So don't get frustrated if the votes will not be enough for you. Support the person who has gone through. And then build yourself, position and strategize. Make your impact felt. So that 2026, you come again and you prove yourself, because I've just said God works in times and seasons. When it's your season to lead, you will lead. If it's not your season to be our leader, you will not be there. But God will position you somewhere. So it's good for us to understand what is God saying in each and every season as we choose leaders. So I have said a leader must have a vision. A leader must be a burdened leader. He must be able to understand the circumstances and look into himself. What will he himself do? What will he mobilize those he's leading to do? What will he do with the structures and the systems around, the actors and the stakeholders? What are the needs that he wants to address? A perfect example of a reformer leader is Nehemiah. When people came to Nehemiah and told him Jerusalem had been burnt by fire and the walls were in ruins, he became burdened. The burden was too much that it forced him to weep and cry. He turned his weeping into a prayer. He cried out to the Lord. Ask God for wisdom. And then ask God, give me wisdom on how to approach the king. After he had prayed and God gave him direction on what to do, God told him the walls of Jerusalem must be rebuilt. He decided to mobilize support. He went to the king and he got favor. The king supported him. He went to other people. Then he went to Jerusalem and mobilized the local people. In chapter 2, verse 17, this is what he tells them. You see the trouble that we are in, how the walls of Jerusalem have burnt down, and how the temple is in ruins. Come and let us rebuild. A mobilizer. And all the people said, yes, let's come and rebuild. And they rebuilt the walls of the city in 52 days. What kind of leader are you? At whatever level. You may be LOC1 chairperson. Within the family, you are the head of the family, you're a leader. You are a teacher in that class, in that school. You are a pastor, you are a leader. Like I've said, all of us, God has given us the leadership mandate. Only that there are some positions which are more visible and more pronounced, are more honorable than others. But we are all leaders. Do you have a burden? What have you done about that? Some of us just talk about situations, but we don't take any step to address those situations. We want others to address them. You're always the one who's referring people. Refer. Orphans are many in our village. You can afford to buy a dozen of books for that orphan. But all the time you're saying, oh, good Samaritans, donors, come and help us. You're a leader who does not want to spend. You want others to spend. Leadership is by example. As I say, a leader does not say go. A leader says, let us go. He knows the way, he shows the way, and he goes the same way. Leading by example. So, I don't know whom you're going to vote to be a leader. You may be voting Suits because he's very smart. You may be voting people who can talk very eloquently. But look beyond that. Look beyond just physical appearance. May God help you to look at the heart of that leader. Is he a burdened leader? Can he sacrifice? Even when the resources are limited, can he go an extra mile? Can he pay the price? Does he walk the talk? Is what he says what he does? Or is a siasa person? He says one thing but completely does another thing. So may God help us tomorrow to discern the right leaders. Don't vote parties. Don't vote tribes. Don't vote relations. Vote Christ-centered leaders. Leaders with a vision and a mission. Leaders who are burdened and are committed and are willing to sacrifice to do something for the situation of their people. And they're there out there. Some of them have not had money, but they have a vision and they have passion. And given chance, they can do a lot. So may God help us to choose the right leaders. I know God has already positioned people who wants to lead us. May He point you to them so that your vote goes to boost the right people to be our leaders for the next 5 years at all levels. So I want to pray that the Lord blesses Uganda as we go to the polls, and the Lord will guide us to get the right leaders, especially as we understand that leadership comes from God, and that God already knows those He's going to give us. When we fail, accept defeat. When we pass, don't be proud. Thank God and support those who have lost to accept. And rally all people besides you to support your ministry. Don't go on revenge. So and so did not support me. That one was in the other camp. We are not good, a good leader. A good leader is a mobilizer. He brings everybody on board and makes sure that he's willing to pay the price to be a shepherd, to bring all the sheep to the sheepfold. Our prayer is that nobody will degenerate into violence. If you degenerate into violence, you're trying to force leadership. You're trying to hijack God's will, and God will not be happy. Let's go peaceful. Let's be calm. Let's accept the outcome of what God gives us. I want to pray against stealing of elections. If you're planning to ridge, may God stop you. If you're planning to cause confusion, may God block you. If you're planning to harm anybody, may God stop you. We cancel every satanic manifestations in this country. Father, take control of the four corners of this country, and may our elections be peaceful and calm. That Uganda will remain Uganda. We shall remain your people united, not looking at religion, not looking at tribe, not looking at party, but praising and thanking you that we are Uganda. So Father, take over this country as we go to the polls. I want to commend you to God's hands as we go to the polls tomorrow, that all shall be well. After tomorrow, after the next day, we shall be here to continue serving God. Remember, you yourself, you are a leader. But the leaders that God is giving us for this season, let's look beyond the physical appearance, and let's get leaders who are burdened, leaders with a vision and a mission, leaders who will look into your needs and want to do something amidst their limitations to change those situations. Thank you for listening. May the Lord bless you, and God bless Uganda. For God and my